want to welcome everybody to Comic Spot today. This is the noon version every Tuesday, regularly. Content, valuable work that Jeffrey Peterson over here in this box has done for this particular venue. He has researched his fingers to death. Today, he's going to be talking about sitcoms and comedians who got their start, who were in sitcoms. This is called High Noon with Jeffrey Peterson. His intro is as follows, and I quote, "He's been the 420 comic for 18 years. That's not how he says it. He has worked with Cheech and Chong, both at the same time, Willie Nelson, Joe Rogan, and many more cannabis icons. See, he also was season 1 winner of the Marijuana Show. Give it up for my friend and yours, Mr. Researcher in the flesh, Jeffrey Peterson, the 420 comic. Woo!
Hey, wow, great to be here, Linda.
Thank you.
You have to do a lot of research, I'm sure, for all these comedians, right?
Yeah, I like to look up a little bit. I don't like to snoop, but I like to, okay, I'll look a little bit. And then I'm like,
it always helps when an interviewer knows a little bit about you. I always feel better. Interviewers that have researched me, and I've done a lot of interviews before. I got to interview Cher's son one time, Elijah Blue Almond, who was Greg Allman's son too. I interviewed him for a magazine called The Album Network. So I've done quite a few did a lot of journalism and stuff, but that's a whole nother topic.
You have so many lives. You've worn so many hats.
It's true. And it's become something that is kind of like astounding to me. And it gets to the point where it could sound like, there's a lot of narcissism behind it, and there isn't. I've just done a lot of shit. And I mean, it's so funny. We were talking about on Saturday or Friday, when we talked last about my shows in rock and roll and stuff. That whole time that I was in bands and stuff, I was a Sunday school teacher too. So I just did weird stuff and that the only lesson to be learned from that is when you're young in your 20s and 30s, do a bunch of stuff, man. Do stuff.
Absolutely.
As much as you can. There's stuff I didn't do. I didn't travel a lot. Like I've never been really out of this country other than Canada or Mexico, but so I do other stuff. But as I talk about sitcoms here a lot, and you talk to these great comedians that a lot of them are people that I admire because of their sitcom connection, and
yes.
That's one. I've told you that's one of the things I love about that whole thing, and in between the time we've talked, I've talked to sitcom stars and stuff. I'll just write to them on, Tom Papa got, I went on his live thing the other day, and Tom Papa had a show called Come to Papa. And that's what I'm here to talk about is since we have an abridged show, we'll keep it the brevity going, and feel free to interject at any time. But how much do we love shows that sitcoms specifically that were modeled after a stand-up comedian's act or from starring a stand-up comedian, right?
Yes, love them.
I mean, a long history of that. I mean, going way back to like the Jerry Lewis show and Joey Bishop and stuff like that. I discover because of this show, I do research, and it's weird, but it's fun research for me. I've been discovering shows that I forgot I should have remembered. I've been hooked on the David Steinberg show. Oh my God, David Steinberg, what a genius. I was so lucky to, interact with him last year when he told me my set was wonderful at the Comedy Store.
Oh my gosh.
One of the greatest moments of my life.
Yes.
His name's up there on the wall at the Comedy Store, I mean, on the, in neon. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So David Steinberg, his cast is the cast of SCTV. It's John Candy, the great John Candy, Martin Short, Joe Flaherty, and Dave Thomas, all these great guys. And remember this guy? You can call me Ray, and you can call me Jay, or you can call me Ray J. That guy's on the show. So it's on Tubi. Look for that. But tons of sitcoms. I mean, stand-up comedians we love have done these awesome sitcoms. And I'm just going to rail off a bunch of names of people that we love. And I'm going to leave out some names because people have been bad. They've been naughty. There's some people that are big stars. One's in jail. A few should be in jail. But if you don't hear their names and like, wow, you didn't mention that, well, they're probably in big trouble.
Got it.
So, but so many great stand-up comedians. One guy who's not a very good stand-up comedian, probably the worst stand-up comedian I ever worked with, was Kramer, Michael Richards from Seinfeld. I hate to knock him, but his sitcom, The Michael Richards Show, very funny. Like I said, Tom Papa had a brief show called Come to Papa. Bernie Mac had a long-running show. Everybody loved that. Damon Wayans had a show for a minute there. There was my buddy John DeResta had a show on UPN. I don't know if anybody remembers UPN had a small brief period where they had Platypus Man and Costello, and that's Sue Costello, who's still wonderful and out there. But Arsenio had a brief little show. Sinbad had a sitcom. You can watch those on YouTube, of course. Sinbad, your friend. Our buddy Rocky Laporte had a little tiny show. And one of my favorite guys out there nowadays, Jim Jeffries. Check out Legit if you haven't watched that. That's a funny show about a stand-up comic. And, sadly, one of our favorite TV moms, she made a mistake and said, posted something, tweeted something that was kind of controversial and very controversial, I guess. And Roseanne is no longer on TV, but Roseanne, was really, a pioneering, one of the, most favorite TV moms, right?
She was huge.
She was huge. And I still like Roseanne a lot. So I want to give Roseanne a shout out. Of course, there was the Jeff Foxworthy show that was huge. Red Fox had a show. So all these, great comedians we love had shows. So I'm going to roll down my top 10. I have a top 10 of my favorite sitcoms that starred stand-up comedians we love. My mentor, the guy that told me to be a pot comic, George Lopez. The George Lopez Show. Come on. That was hilarious.
That's fabulous. Fabulous writing.
Oh, fabulous writing, strong characters, and just, hey, come on. George is hilarious. In my estimation, the best stand-up comic today.
What's it like to know him?
Kind of surreal. And the neat thing is, we had a 14-year absence. We didn't talk to each other. I just went about my business and became a stand-up comedian and didn't bother him at all. And then I hit him up here in Vegas and he said, hey, let's hook up. And so it was very surreal to do that because I had met him 10 years before I ever did stand-up. I was in a rock band, and George is just a genuine, real person that, I just have huge admiration for. So, but yeah, his sitcom, one of the best sitcoms, so I highly recommend that. In my list, not on my top 10, so I don't want to forget him, is Rodney Carrington has a really great show. It's an honorable mention. I don't know if you know who Rodney Carrington is. He's a country music stand-up comic. His show is about him being a stand-up comic, and it stars Mac Davis as his father-in-law. Mac Davis. Come on, you loved Mac Davis.
Yeah, you gotta love Mac Davis.
Hooked on me, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Number 9 in my list, I've been getting hooked on it again on YouTube and stuff. Christopher Titus at a show. Titus, oh my God, he's one of the best. Put him next to Stacy Keach as his dad. Stacy Keach is just hilarious. One of the craziest. My mom's former boss, Frances Fisher plays his mom. She plays one of the most psychotic people, and she's very good at that. So she's done it in many, many movies, including Titanic. But Christopher Titus is just the best. I mean, he's a beast. I don't use that word very often when it comes to stand-up, but he did a 90-minute set early on in my career that I caught at the Ice House in Pasadena. Fraser Smith was the host. He had 6 minutes to kill. Fraser brought me up after Christopher Titus.
Wow.
That's another story because I don't have time for it, but that was crazy. But Christopher Titus shook my hand and really thanked me for having enough balls to go up after him after he did 90 minutes. Yeah, that was crazy.
Christopher Titus. Wow.
He is a beast. He is one of the best. I mean, 90 minutes wireless. He had just no microphone, just, so number 8 in my list is Rob Schneider, who is not just a Saturday Night Live guy. He does stand up. His show Rob with Cheech Marin is just too funny. I don't understand why it didn't get 5 seasons, but Rob is he's married to a Mexican woman, which is like what happens in his real life on the show Real Rob, another show. But the show Rob that was on CBS, it's so funny with Cheech Marin as his father-in-law. It's just hilarious.
Wow.
So check that out. Another YouTube find of mine. Another great thing you can see on YouTube, guys, that I got a couple weeks ago, just immersed in. George Carlin had an awesome show on Fox called Carlin. His sitcom was just hilarious.
Really?
You gotta watch it. There's even an episode with Tommy Chong.
Oh,
but
gosh.
Yeah, but watch Carlin. It's just one of the best sitcoms ever. It's it's George Carlin's style of comedy mixed in with the classic sitcom, so ensemble cast, everything. Alex Rocco, one of the best actors around, is also on the show. So watch that. Number 6 in my list, Bob. Who does not love Bob Newhart? Bob Newhart is he not one of the best ever?
Oh, talk about timing, impeccable, like Jack Benny timing, like
yeah,
make you wait for it.
That's saying a lot with for a guy with a stammer. That's how he taught. He has a Bob has a stammer. It's hilarious. It's so brilliant. His show, Bob Newhart, the Bob Newhart Show with him as Dr. Bob Hartley. Obviously classic, one of the best. Number 5.
I love that show so much.
Yeah. It's so great. Number 5, I'm going to cheat here because some of these shows fall into some of these stars fall into another category I'm going to cover next week, which is sketch comedy shows. But this next guy, the show just was too avant-garde, too great to miss. The Richard Pryor Show. If you've never seen the Richard Pryor Show, it's just it had to be canceled after 6 episodes. It was so dangerous. And my other mentor, Vic Dunlop, my main mentor, my main man up in the sky, he was on the show with Sandra Bernhardt, Robin Williams. Happy birthday, Robin. Tim Reed, just an incredible cast. Argus Hamilton, So watch that. Oh, I can't forget Marsha Warfield is on there, our Las Vegas queen of comedy. So
nice.
Yeah, so definitely check that out, gang. Richard Pryor Show. We're moving on. Number 4. Don't we all miss Gary Shandling?
Yes.
Gary Shandling, just like one of the best ever, and his show, The Gary Shandling Show, was so ahead of its time in a way, the way he would break the fourth wall and talk to the audience and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going through this. He's going through a sitcom situation, and then he breaks the fourth wall and looks at the camera and tells us, what's going on in the show. Like that was great. That was ahead of its time. So Gary Shandling.
That's like what George Burns did.
Yeah, it's George Burns, and very much in that classic same kind of style. And a lot of people don't know Gary Shandling, wrote Sanford and Son and Welcome Back, Kotter and stuff like that. Yeah.
I love that show. Well, I feel like in comedy, I feel like I'm in the best episode of Welcome Back, Kotter that there ever was.
Oh, 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 oh. I got a note from my mother, Juan Epstein. Oh my God. Freddie Boom Boom Washington. Hi there. You know, they were, yeah, you gotta love the Sweat Hogs. And of course, you know, somebody's in big trouble, probably. Someone else. So, and then number 3, a guy that's kind of a newer comic to, you know, like I would say a more contemporary comic that I really love. His show, I can't understand why it wasn't a huge hit. It was they said his show is like Seinfeld, if but not funny. But it was very funny, and that's John Mulaney. John Mulaney is, if you don't know who he is, he's a very funny guy, but his sitcom was just hilarious. You can also see that on YouTube. And he was very smart. He cast Martin Short as his boss. So, you know, you cannot go wrong with Martin Short, in my opinion. Martin Short is just hilarious. And
hasn't John Mulaney hosted Saturday Night Live a few times?
He has. Yes, he has a few times. And he used to be a writer on Saturday Night Live when people didn't know he was writing for it. But he does stuff with Nick Kroll on Broadway. And John, you know, he's got a cartoon on called Big Mouth on Netflix and stuff. John Mulaney, just a tremendous guy. But his sitcom is very funny. It's the, you know, trials and tribulations of a comic in New York, you know, that writes for a star that's kind of in his later years or whatever. So we're rolling down because I know you got so many great comics to talk to, and I think this is awesome. Number 2, I just can't not put this on a list. Curb Your Enthusiasm is just, oh my God, it's going to go into its 12th season. Thank you, Larry. Larry David is the strangest kind of stand-up comic because he is a guy that doesn't even really like doing stand-up. He's been known to walk out and look at the audience and not even say a word and just shake his head and go no and then leave. I mean, and people just died laughing at that. But if you've ever seen Curb, it's, you know, Larry was the mastermind with Jerry behind Seinfeld. So everything you see George do, Larry did first. So, but Curb Your Enthusiasm, right now we have 11 seasons of a guy that is just the biggest pain in the ass ever in the world. You know, fortunately for him, he's a millionaire, but who else gets kicked out of New York City by the mayor? You know, that's part of his show, but he's just the best and the worst all at once. So cheers to Larry.
People say he's not very personable, but I don't care. If I saw him, I'd want to get to know him.
Right. But, you know, a lot of times celebrities, you know, they'll break your heart. You know, I gave you my Susan Day story. I mean, from the Partridge Family. A lot of times celebrities will break your heart. Some other times they'll want to sit and hang out with you, which I've had. I've had celebrities go, sit down. Come on, let's talk. You know, I've spent extensive time with some celebrities, and I've had some celebrities that are just weird, you know. And some are nice, but like don't think we're gonna hang out. Nice, you know.
Yeah, not so, the kind you want to have a beer with.
Right, but some I've had go, come on, let's sit down and have a beer. Like, or let's, you know, what are you doing? Let's sit and hang out. And I've had that happen. So, but wow. Yeah, so Curb Your Enthusiasm leads me to my number 1. Come on, everybody probably already knew this.
Drum roll.
Named after a sitcom. Named after a stand-up comedian. The number 1 stand-up comedian probably for a long time, and this was number 1 TV show. Seinfeld. Yep. Come on, you know, Jerry. You just can't.
Not the pickles either.
Are there Seinfeld pickles?
It might be Steinfeld. I don't know. It might be Seinfeld. Close enough.
There's only one. There's only one Jerry Seinfeld, and you know, yes. The great thing about Seinfeld is not only the awesome ensemble cast and the extended characters, but Jerry is so funny because he he clearly doesn't act very well, and he's not a great actor, but he knows it. So he just sometimes he'll laugh and stuff, and it's not a fake Jimmy Fallon laugh. It's like it's real, and the writing on Seinfeld throughout the years is just incredible, and just that
Yes.
it's so memorable, and it's so spot on to the sitcom formula. I mean, they say it's a show about nothing, but it isn't ever. It's a show about several things, and the way they can have four different subplots or three different subplots going at the same time, and then they all meet at the end in 22 minutes. Brilliant, brilliant. The only thing people don't like is the very last episode.
Exactly. Kind
That
of like
nobody
kind of like Friends, where everybody was
now
brokenhearted.
now in its defense, before I wrap this up, in its defense, the last episode is often maligned. Now, I loved Seinfeld from right from the beginning. It was called the Seinfeld Chronicles. It wasn't even called Julia Louis-Dreyfus wasn't on the first one. It was a little bit different. I just heard Jerry talk about this in an interview. It took about 4 years for people to even like Seinfeld. It always teetered on it. It almost didn't make it all the time. And then all of a sudden, when Cheers got off the air, people just went, "Oh my God, this show's awesome. Where was I?" And they rediscovered it. So,
Wow.
yeah, and but I think I just lost my train of thought. but
You know what would be a really
do
good thing to hear you talk
yeah,
about
what's that?
is people who were famous who started coasting and then went
Yeah.
into voiceover work and it revived their career.
I can tell you the biggest one of all was Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, because he got into a terrible car accident, and that's why Luke Skywalker had to have that. Was scarred. Really good looking guy that got scarred. He got super smart and said, "Well, my voice still works." So, but I did remember what I was going to say. In the defense of the last episode, the reason why most people didn't like it was because we thought the premise of them getting arrested for not helping someone out, that the late great John Panetta played that character, the chubby guy that got was getting held up at gunpoint, and then they filmed it but didn't get arrested. I mean, but didn't do anything, so they got arrested. Now at that point in 1999, that seemed outlandish, like that. No, that would never happen. You'd never get arrested. In 2020, you could probably in some city get arrested because you didn't jump in or you filmed them or whatever. You don't know, because look what's happening to this world. So
Absolutely.
so the reason why we didn't like it maybe just was ahead of its time, and we didn't get it, and Larry David struck again. So I'll leave you with that, guys.
Can I add one thing that's
Sure.
off topic but on topic? Richard Pryor had a sitcom, you said, right?
It wasn't a sitcom. It falls into the kind of sketch comedy show, but yeah.
I saw an interview of Richard Pryor, and it was like way back when, last night I saw it, and he was talking about how they love it when we're all fighting with each other because then they can get away with murder.
It's so true.
And this
So
was like
true.
30, 40 years ago. He was saying
Muhammad Ali
this.
said the same thing. Muhammad Ali said the same thing. He said, "No, I'm not going to go fight in your war. I'm not going to go fight some person I don't even know. You want me to fight people in America too, and I'm not going to do that either." And that's what it's about. That's what the problem is. And hey, kids out there, stop your fighting and stop trying to turn everybody into something.
I remember when Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali to be a conscientious objector to avoid Vietnam. And he went through a lot to take that stand.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali did, and so did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was Lou Alcindor, and so a lot of people, these were heroes of ours, and they still are, and because of the things they said, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of them, and
Bobby
today,
Moore, Ahmad Rashad.
yeah, and so in the realm of these sitcoms, like I said, there's some great people. I used to always want to have my own show as a stand-up comedian, and have a show based on me, but I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I'll be the wacky neighbor, but I don't want my own show. But I just want to thank you for having me on again. I want to give a shout out to my friends at the LA Turp Market, because we're making our rolling papers together. It's a joint venture with Rolling Papers, joint venture with the LA Turp Market.
Just got that.
Yeah, so I got that going, and Cali Chronic Comics. Find us on Instagram and Facebook. We got new comics coming out all the time. I'm putting my comedic energy into my comic books, which I always have, but now I'm just, since there's no stand-up. I would have been at the Downtown Grand this week with Derek Richards. I would have been featuring for him, but oh well,
Man.
you got to roll with the punches. So yeah. So next week we'll talk about next Tuesday when I come on. We'll talk about great sketch comedy shows we love, and
Yes.
yeah. So this has become the TV-aholics segment of your comic spot. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for bringing great content and research every week. I appreciate
Yeah.
you so much.
Well, great. And if you're out there listening, guys, really check these shows out. There's so many that are just gems that, and you like I've said before, you think there's nothing on there, but you just haven't looked in the right places.
Yes, and go to Jeffrey Peterson's Instagram and Facebook and order some of his merchandise, because he's amazing with his comic books and his rolling papers. And what other things do you have besides those?
We've got apparel. We've got all kinds of stuff. I've got jackets and T-shirts and hats and dab pads and all kinds of stuff. We're constantly brainstorming new stuff, and we're in flux working on an animated series right now. So just a lot of stuff. Yeah. And we've got a whole new line of merch coming out, hats and hoodies and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So he's at Cali, CALI, Chronic, like chronic, comics with the X, COMIX.com, or on Facebook and Instagram. Not online.
Not online, not on our we're not really using our website, but yeah, just find us on Instagram or Facebook. We're easy to find, you guys, and you can even read some of our comic books there. Even just like go to our albums, and if you want to just read them digitally, you can, and then you can decide if you want to order them
and give them out for gifts, or you can, if you can read them and your wife can color them, or you can color them and your wife can read them. It doesn't matter. Just buy the books.
I also have a coloring book, too. So I also have a coloring book for 52 pages of great pages to color. So whatever you want. These are fun for cannabis enthusiasts or people that just love comic books. Either one.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey Peterson. Love you lots.
Love you lots too. We'll catch you next time. Have fun.
You guys, Jeffrey Peterson, Cali Chronic Comics. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody